WION World is One. You're watching a special broadcast of the WION-VOA co-production with me, Priyanka Sharma. On the show today, we'll bring you the latest from the Ukraine conflict and try and answer some crucial questions. Will diplomacy work? Is a peaceful de-escalation in sight? Will a unified NATO alliance be able to douse tensions across Eastern Europe? We'll also discuss the state of Afghan refugees in America, so let's get started now. This week marks 6 months since Afghanistan fell to the Taliban and tens of thousands of Afghans fled their homeland. One of the challenges that new Afghan refugees in the large US state of California now face is a tough rental housing market. Many are staying in temporary housing for weeks at a time. This next report from Voice of America has all the details. Take a look.
When new Afghan refugees arrive in California, resettlement agencies lodge them in hotels, motels, or Airbnb rentals until more permanent accommodations can be found. To rent a home in the United States, one must have a job, a strong credit score, and good rental history. But many newly arrived refugees from Afghanistan often don't meet those requirements and must spend longer periods of time in temporary housing. Helping El Cajon Refugees is a Facebook voluntary group that provides the refugees with basic essentials and help them find housing.
So not only do we have a housing crisis, but we have a flood of incoming families and literally no place to put them. We have families that have been spending 8 weeks in a tiny little Super 8 motel.
The families of Javed and Jamshid are among those who migrated from Afghanistan recently and spent weeks living in motels. They were able to rent a 2-bedroom apartment together for the first time with the help of San Diego relative who co-signed their contract.
Our relatives helped us to find this house, and the rent is relatively high.
Since August 2021, around 4,000 new Afghan refugees have been relocated to California. Some says the resettlement process has been frustrating.
The caseworkers who were assigned to us would not answer our calls. We would leave them messages, but they would not respond. We were left to spend 50 more days. They would not respond.
By the end of the year, California will have received roughly 1,250 additional Afghan refugees from military camps where they are temporarily housed. Meanwhile, the cost of renting in California is continuing to rise. Breshna Tahrik, VOA News, San Diego, California.
To speak about this further, we're now joined by Voice of America's correspondent Chris Casquejo from Washington. Chris, thanks so much for joining us on this special broadcast. Now, despite lingering concerns among some officials in Washington that Afghanistan is on its way to once again becoming a terrorist haven, the recent U.S. defense and intelligence assessments seem to indicate that at least for now, groups like the Islamic State and the Al-Qaeda are not ready to use the country as of now as a launchpad for attacks against the West. So what are these latest intelligence assessments saying as of now?
Good morning from Washington, D.C., Priyanka. The appraisal from U.S. Central Command, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and others is part of a just-released report from the Defense Department Inspector General examining the potential threats emanating from Afghanistan. Now, the new assessments agree the intent to strike at the U.S. is still there, just that leaders from both terror groups now have other priorities. ICE Khorasan Province, as the Islamic State affiliate in the region is also known, in particular seems more focused on solidifying its support within Afghanistan instead of preparing to strike at external enemies. The Inspector General report also says U.S. agencies believe the Taliban are still keeping Al-Qaeda officials somewhat isolated, despite some of them occupying key positions in the new government. This is a change from what top Pentagon officials had been saying since October. They warned ISIS-K could strike the U.S. within 6 months and Al-Qaeda within a year.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.